Okay, hello everybody. Happy Wednesday, happy Jupiter Day. Get a little candle set up here. Hi Hav, how are you? It was so funny because yesterday I was talking about how the importance of communication, and especially when you have specific energy types in human design. And I was saying how our wedding photographer had not gotten back to us. It was not informing or educating like she should have been. And then last night we finally, once I was done with the live, we actually finally got the previews of our wedding photos. I know, I'm so excited to see you. Hi Wings to Fly, long time no see. I hope all is well. Hi Fatih, welcome. So yeah, it's so crazy just even thinking about last New Year's Eve, Hav, and how like much has happened since last year. So it'll be good to in just ground in each other's company and be able to enjoy. But if you guys are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back. My name is Brenna. I'm a human design reader, astrologer, and psychic medium of 10 years professionally. I'm just gonna say 11 because I'm writing 11, that teaches you how to use the transits, hi Jenny, in real life ways, in real time, in a practical way. If you guys know your energy type, if you want to drop your big three in astrology, anything that you know that you want to share with the crowd, or myself, please drop it in the comments below. We're just getting started, so there'll be a couple folks that'll join us also from my Patreon that'll probably try to snag their complimentary readings as a part of their membership before the month is over. I checked a couple other folks off the list yesterday. Let me make sure. If there are any of you that are not in my Patreon that do want to get a reading, it's $8 for 10 minutes. The link is on my page, and you will also see a link to the recording in your inbox within 24 hours after this session is over. One of the things I actually wanted to start, hi Jax, how are you? One of the things I wanted to start with today actually is the gene keys. So I have a lot of people that ask me about the gene keys. And so Richard Rudd was actually a student with Ra Urahu. Your big three is your sun, your moon, and your rising. Yes, in that order. And so Richard Rudd, the gene keys creator, or at least the author of this book in particular, worked with Ra Urahu. So basically, Ra Urahu, the founder of Human Design, walked so Richard Rudd could run with the gene keys, and then talked about our like biochemical aspect. Yes, fellow Aquarius, Mercury, Gemini rising. That's right. Projector, yes, projector. I remembered. I love that. So the fellow Aquarian placements. That's a good placement to have it too, is in the 10th house. But when we're looking at the gene keys, these correlate to the 64 gates in human design. So if you really have an interest, yes, Jax, the link is on my page. I'm also dual streaming on TikTok. So on the right hand side, that's where the other chat is. But on my YT channel, where you are streaming from, it's actually on my page. So if you click on my profile picture, go to my page, you'll see the link. It'll say YouTube Human Design Hotline sign up link, and you'll see it there, and I'll see the notification come through. Just give it a second to be able to process. Don't like rush in to come back, and make sure you click the link that says TikTok live mini reading sign up. So it'll be a Calendly link. Hi Nick, welcome back. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or don't know how to use it yet? Oh, this book, yes. Hi Megan. It's honestly, when you know about your gates in human design, it'll be a little bit easier to use. Right now, we're in a gate 26 sun gate transit in human design. Megan has it in her human design body graph. I have it in my human design. Oh, I love that. Yes, it'll be good for, hi She-Wolf. Oh my God, I was dying laughing at your like intensity today. It was such a perfect timing for me to join in. I was like, I'm not even gonna say a word. We need to have the Lilith Annihilation. She-Wolf is an amazing channel. If you guys don't follow her already, you should. And there was somebody going in on her live today that, like, the second I joined, which is funny because we both had butterfly emojis, and I was dying. Your hair also looks amazing. And I was about to comment that, and then that person came in that was like on the pulpit, like, God will smite you, or like whatever. And it was just such a beautiful, like, I feel like since the last time we talked, like such a beautiful connection of all of like your line 5 things as well coming into play. So it's just funny to see that in real time, but I was like, you can't even make it up. Like, it's just too accurate. Especially today we have Scorpio in 29 degrees Mercury in 29 degrees of Scorpio, and finally goes into Sag today. I had somebody that asked me yesterday, like, should a Leo rising confront something that needs to be confronted? And I was like, generally not, at least for a Leo rising with Scorpio in your 4th house. But yeah, it's just funny to see how you can't make it up. The transits are transiting. It's all connected. Yeah, I went back and listened to the clip from last night. Amazing. Dove straight into learning. I love that. I'm so glad. Yeah, the profection years have been really fun to look at. I've been enjoying doing the series on them. I just did a video for you as well today. So that I posted at like 4:30 my time. It's 7:36 right now. But yeah, so yeah, I wouldn't challenge you ever. It's fun. I think honestly, and I get this similarly, I could check if you're comfortable putting your birth year, let me know, or your age, or no, yeah, your whatever you're more comfortable with. But if you look, even rhetorically, if you go to my last post, the first one where I'm in this red sweater, 38, let me check. I want to say 12th house, which actually would make a lot of sense. Hold on. I can look quickly. I have it in my little nerdy teaching materials folder on my laptop. You are in for 38. Ooh, a 3rd house perfection year. Yeah, of course. Hi, Miguel. Welcome. It's 3rd house communication and thinking. And what I love about that too is like, and you're the other folks. I get a lot of people that are in the same, actually 5th house and 3rd house perfection year. It's all about being able to communicate accurately, quickly in real time. So it's helpful. Yeah, it's so funny. I noticed that they changed that. Oh, I love that. Even more amazing. I've also been seeing the number 33 a lot recently, 737. So if that means anything to you too. It's so funny. I have a picture before I really got into my like witchy side. I was at a museum. My favorite museum is the Whitney in downtown Manhattan, and I studied art history. Hi, Chelsea. And there was this like sculpture on a wall in the Whitney, and I took a picture of it and having no context of it. And it's a sculpture of Lilith. So it was great, or titled Lilith, of Lilith. And if I can find a way to send it to you, I will. Yes. Oh, the perfection year. Yeah. So perfection year, if you Googled it, you're not going to find it because it's not perfection. It's profection. My enunciation or lack thereof with my Mercury natally retrograde strikes me again. I've been trying to go in because also whenever you type it in anywhere, like if you type it in Google or like a Word doc or whatever, profection is going to come up wrong. So yeah, exactly. Thank you. So it's profection year, but it's really, if you want to look at like the Google, like by the book, it's your annual profection. So it's basically when you look up when you're looking at that little chart. When I make my next video, I'll make it bigger so that it's, hi Viera, it's in front of my like face. Like I'll put it through the whole screen so you can pause and take a screenshot. But if you look and zoom in, you're looking for what your age in the actual chart. So if you're 38, you're a 3rd house perfection year. If you're 37, 2nd house perfection year, so on and so forth, looking for your age. So hi Diana, welcome. Sí, un otro persona. Sí, yo practico mi español contigo, but maybe I should become an English teacher because the last 2 days everyone's asking me to practice their English. I don't know, and it's funny because like I know that that's like a thing, but like I wonder what the pipeline is here. Hi Amanda, how are you? But I've been thinking about maybe practicing a little bit. Maybe I should do some posts that are bilingual posts, and we can help a girl out. But yeah, so profection years are basically, you're going to, if your birthday's not in January, like my birthday's in March, I'm going into my profection year. Yeah, right? I know, that'd be good for both of us. I would be going, hi, I rise above. I'm going into my birthday's in March. So to use myself as an example, I'm ending an 8th house perfection year, which has been amazing and crazy in all of the crazy ways. Yes, exactly. It starts on your birthday. And so what I'm really looking towards as I kind of enter into, March, because I'm a March baby, is what age I'm turning this birthday. So I'll be 32 in March. So I'll be going through my 9th house perfection year. So instead of me kind of getting worked up about like, oh, like what are some lessons, even for this year, I was like, oh yeah, surrendering makes a lot of sense. And why I've gotten more bees with honey to be able to surrender to the process. Yeah, there you go. Surrender to the process of allowing other people to help me, which is, just so easy for those of us who are perfectionists. But that's a big lesson of an 8th house perfection year. So yeah, there you go. I know. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, totally have me in my line one. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So being 32, 9th house perfection year, it'll be about travel, connecting with people from different cultures, or going somewhere. I mean, it makes so much sense. Like we can kind of see how this is even being activated for me in the chat right now in real time. Again, like you can't make this up. Hi, Malia. Yeah, exactly. I understand. Hi, Jules. Well, good morning from your corner of the world. Same with the personal year. It starts in your birthday, and most teach New Year. Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, the New Year. I have to. I was just talking about this yesterday, She-Wolf, and how what I was saying to a lot of people who have been kind of I get a lot of people that will come to me, especially with a lot of Libra placements, where it's like the scales are like this, and it takes a lot of time for them to be able to ground and integrate. Good morning. And all of the core of what I come back to, especially as a spiritual practitioner, is like, what version or what tool can you use in your spiritual TikTok, that as well, who on spiritual TikTok, or who in your spiritual, what in your spiritual toolbox can allow you to just feel like it's the best, the path of least resistance, or the one that's just calling out to you, even if it's not the path of least resistance. God knows I'm a masochist with my Scorpio stellium, but the one that feels like it's going to be the most rewarding. And even what I just posted before I got on about my energy of the day for tomorrow, for Venus day, is that also really taking a look at like how I know I want this thing, and it doesn't make any sense that I'm trying to find a reason to make it harder by incorporating a new routine. So the easiest one for me to use as an example is weight loss, for example. And so people who are like, I'm gonna start eating really clean for January, and instead of doing another juice cleanse, maybe we just need to focus on taking our time, not eating in front of the TV. You could look at your digestion, human design as an example, and figure out how to let yourself ground and being a little bit more calm in how you're nourishing your body. Even taking time to close your eyes and really think before, even 3 seconds, a nanosecond before you take an action, also super helpful. Just some of the things to kind of focus on what's going to ground you so you don't feel unsteady. Also, feet have been coming up a lot. I also think it's because of our Saturn, as it's about to go direct in Pisces ruling the feet. And me being a Pisces, I talk a lot about that. And if you tend to stand in a certain way where your feet are always tense and you have a root chakra imbalance, or it can indicate a little bit of a root chakra imbalance. So paying attention to that and what your feet are doing as well. But full circle, let me know if that struck any questions or perfection your questions or anything you guys want to ask me in the comments. But with the gene keys, it's another way to look at some other things, like the biochemical aspect. Gene key 26, and what a lot of like gate 26 energy is the gate of the trickster. So 2 ways that this can be used. This is the sun gate transit. So our sun is currently in gate 26 in human design, and gene key 26, if you will. And what I notice with people who have this placement is that like they're either manipulative to a detriment, or they're like manipulative in a good way. So like alchemy or witchcraft or anything that is about like spiritual alchemy can also be a healthy example of how this information or this gene key would be used. It's like manipulation of something to create something else. And so how are you manipulating your words to convey a message? How are you manipulating for marketing, manipulating the elements to work with them? Things along those lines that can really be helpful. The good energy of this is focusing on how to get your point across in a way. Oh, you're Chiron. There you go. Yeah, and I will say with my sneaky projectors or my gate 26 people, I think for you as well, you're going to be more sensitive. It could make you even more bluntly honest, because it's a wound for you, like hi Paddlefoot, when it's like, oh, I really don't like when, and I can tell when people are lying. I may not know exactly what you're lying about, but I know that you're coming at me in some way that feels uncomfortable, and we need to have a more honest conversation. It depends on, the sum of all of your parts, but healing the wound of knowing that just because somebody tricked you once doesn't mean that you know, you have to focus on that. Hi, Danita, how are you? Doesn't mean that you have to move forward and kind of be tit for tat, but know that it exists. I think this is another like fellow 48 Laws of Power listeners out there. Robert Greene, love him, paying attention to that too. Yeah, I can't keep with the BS. Yeah, exactly. And for me, it's like I can't focus on people who don't actually respect me anymore. Like that, having this placement as well, especially, it's like, so the shadow, I'll read to you this section, the repressive nature is being manipulative. So the 26th gate's shadow, or Gene Key's shadow, can be really sneaky. When pride manifests through a repressive human nature, it becomes manipulation, but not in an obvious way. This is covert manipulation. These people manipulate others by putting them down or use guilt and shame as subtle weapons. Often, these patterns are acted out unconsciously, which means that such people rarely feel accountable for their actions or the efforts they have on others. The 26th shadow uses its natural cunning to make others feel bad or inferior, behavior patterns rooted in fear. Pride that is rooted in fear always leads to manipulation, and it's a simple and lethal equation. So we see how that comes out too. People being overly boastful this week. Oh, that's funny. The connection. Yeah, the gift of this is celebrating your ego without self-judgment and in full awareness. So it's like whenever we have this placement, it's making it aware, or just within this week's transit, we have humans who's always sensed the secrets of the 64 cities, which are basically the higher octaves of this, we want to use it. But we've rarely considered such divine manifestations to be concealed within our own genetic code. Because the connection with gene keys is the codons in our DNA. So when you look at a DNA double helix or helix, that's what we're kind of looking at. But it's interesting. It's what is it, verbose the word? This book is a little bit dense vocabulary wise, but if you already are familiar with your gates in human design, it could be a little bit easier. I'm like scanning quickly to see if there's anything that kind of pops out at me that'll be a little bit more palatable for the sake of our environment here. And for what I can say, because once you start talking about DNA on this application, they don't necessarily like it. A lot of it, and I mentioned this because I did a longer YouTube video about this on YT, or the Tube of You, is, let me see, all I saw was apocalypse. Hold on, let me go back. There you go. Never could, but it's like end time vibes. Wait, never could, but it's like end time vibes, like the apology. Yeah, the apocalypse is upon us. I feel that. I've been having this conversation a lot. She-Wolf, yay, I see you. Having this conversation a lot about, I don't know what the other shoe is that's going to drop, but there's definitely, and I think it's really come 2027, we're going to feel this way for a minute, about something is going to shift radically, pretty intensely, and we don't exactly know what that's going to look like, but as far as I'm concerned, I know that like if we have these kinds of tools to just ground ourselves a little bit more in the clarity and understanding that like I'm not going to be here or have incarnated on this earth for nothing, not to say that it is actually the apocalypse, but we'll be able to ground ourselves a little bit more, hi Rory, and knowing what we can do with the time that we have, or whatever that looks like. So also, I was going to say earlier, the likes have changed. I don't know what the update was, but mine was SpongeBob earlier and Patrick. So there you go, in true millennial fashion. But since we're here, and She-Wolf, since you are here as well, I'll start a little bit early. Let me see. And I have the timestamp, but since you know your chart and I have it here, I won't share it just for the sake of privacy. And just because of the energy of the day for all parties involved. I've seen what I needed to see. Let me scroll. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know. I can't wait. I've waited all my life for this. I know. I feel like it's, how are we on the forefront? Oh, yeah. Okay. So this makes a lot of sense, just kind of looking at the 19, we're starting at 19 minutes here, and I'll send you the recording via email like I did last time as well, She-Wolf, so that you have it. But just in general, like the general reading, when I was reading Gate 26 and talking about that, left field, I'll answer your question in 10 minutes. I just had Kelly, She-Wolf, who paid for the next 10 minutes of my time. So we'll put a pin in that, but I appreciate that question. half of me, in short, wants to say it has no role, but the other half knows that it does. So what's interesting about the placement that I mentioned just now for gate 26 and the higher octave about this for you, if you will, is your Saturn placement, She-Wolf, and being able to understand, I think for you even more so, and even, you know, in my description of it, I'm thinking of you talking about alchemy and witchcraft and using your craft for that like true manipulation, and you have such a reverence and respect for the craft in general that like people don't even know what they don't even know, which is a really good place for you to be in. When we're looking at allowing yourself to, what I want to say is like kind of having those grounding anchors in your lives. Like I think today and just me being on there it's never by accident, but like more of those ways to reflect the mirror back outward, because it's a really good reflection of what I always keep going back to, which is that gate 5 in human design. When we're looking at like flexing the muscle of that, it's interesting because also looking at your gate 46 and where that sits in your chart, not talking about the placement specifically, so just another little layer of protection there, is like your body really keeping score of kind of like where you feel a little bit of the psychic attacks. A lot of the psychic attacks, and not that people can really penetrate, because I know you have like certain tools, I'll say, already, yeah, okay, perfect. Already in the loop, you know, or in play, I'll say. It's like just remembering that like that response, that biological response, is very tied to the 46 and the 5, and a lot of the layers of lineage protection is the best way that I want to say it. So like I love even in those moments, and I think just you kind of going through the 3rd house perfection year this year and being worded up in every single way, it's like it's allowed you to progress where you're like, fuck, like I just don't want people to see me. And you don't have to do every live like that too if you don't want to, but it actually has so much more power. And what I was going to say earlier, and I don't know if I finished my thought, is that people seeing you almost, it's beneficial, and I relate to this in so many ways, because there is a level of innocence where people like that popped in today. Exactly. It's telling, like we always have our signs, like those of us who are witches by nature don't really other people that don't really have a full understanding because of whatever their fear is, don't really understand, like there's a lot of tells. And especially because you and I both share the same 4426 line, I have it as well, or the channel. We're looking at that from you have now entered into a game that this person doesn't know the rules that you're playing. So, and I'll answer after I'm done with She-Wolf's reading, Amanda. We're 3 minutes in, so another 7 minutes here. What's interesting about it is that like you, like me, also have gate 28 on the design side. And so it plays into that really beautifully, connecting to your spleen center, because it's like this, I will now toy with you for what the alchemy is. If you're going to come in here and annoy me and my time, we're going to make alchemy out of it. So I won't necessarily, if we're working on getting more views in the live, you have now set yourself up, troll, for being a pawn in my game, right? So it's knowing that and having that power. And I suggest anyone who's on live that's afraid of the trolls, it's like anyone that you guys see that will come across my path, like you will see how like if you're going to keep incessantly saying something, I will make an example out of you in front of everybody. And that is not something that I apologize for, because it's natural for my energy, but I also know how the alchemy of it works, right? So knowing that, exactly, it's like a good test. It's like low-hanging fruit. And I think it's funny, even just within AI and looking at the bare bones of that account, I also know that like in this era of social media that we've been in since it went away and came back a year ago, like we're coming up upon the year that the year anniversary of like when we didn't have this app for a day, at least in my corner of the world. You know, it kind of changed things. It's like when you, like whenever you see like a cop movie and somebody went into somebody's house that's really aware of their environment, and like they messed things up or they were searching, but they tried to make sure that they got everything in order. Yeah, it'll be a year in January. Everything in order. And then like a person like you, She-Wolf, is like, you know that the book was like this and then it was tweaked like this, right? So it's like all of those placements are very much so about tracking with a discerning eye, so nothing gets by you with those placements. Even when things do get by you, it's playing into the innocence of people knowing that even when they think that they've gotten away with something, it hasn't gone unnoticed. Especially with heavy Scorpio placements, it's like revenge is truly a dish best served cold. Nothing has gotten by me in that way. So what I would also suggest is really looking at, as you go into this third house perfection year, like how can you, because I think also when you do something for a while, we kind of get bored. I know that I can also relate to that. And with the perfection year, like what do you need to make things a little bit more intellectually stimulating for you? Because we have the yin and yang of our placements with our perfection years and where we're headed into. So it's like a as above, so below sort of thing. And also looking at like what can just be a little bit more cerebrally stimulating, feeling a little bit more, the word I want to say is just education in any capacity. You know, you're already like well evolved, but I think that there's like, it's not like you necessarily have to go to a course to hit the next level of evolution, if that also makes sense. And like kind of understanding that right now, until you hit your next perfection year, and then it goes, you know, even further for the fourth, it's more about like our roots, our femininity. Yeah, exactly. I love that. And leaning into like, how does that work? Like, I think especially like as you evolve into the fourth house year, it's also really beautiful from the sense of like, ooh, like really tapping into like dark femme rage and the alchemy of that in like almost like a scorpionic way. I think that with your placements, especially, hi seventh house sun, that's such a sweet placement. There's such a beautiful connection, especially because like people being in your presence, like they will make more money or be more successful just by you being there. They have to really respect the fact that like access to you is a privilege, not a right. So looking into that is also important. Yes, exactly. Amen to that. No pun intended with today. But like really listening into that or looking into that is important too. Like that intensity and knowing that. I think it's making your presence known in places and spaces where like people, I also just you, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this out loud before, but like working for people that are higher up behind the scenes, like it's almost like people may think that TikTok live is the means to an end, or like the end all be all. Oh yeah, oh no, well, I forget, I don't know what part I left off at, but I will say, hi Marie, that I will send you the recording and it's going to be at like 26 minutes, 27. But the part that I was referencing, hi Megan, yes, sounds good. The part that I was referencing for you specifically is when you evolve into a fourth house perfection year, feminine energy, like leaning into like Aries, Scorpio placements. I was also thinking because like Mars ruled, I forget what I said. Oh, working for people behind the scenes. That's how I know I'm channeling, because I forget. As it comes out, it goes away. But working for people that are a little bit higher up, where people can think that TikTok live is the only thing that you're working on if you want them to, but also like being a little bit more of like a occultist or a practitioner that's like behind the scenes for people that like have like someone has their life coach or their personal trainer. It's like being in that kind of realm. Excuse me. And people know that they burp of affirmation. People know that they have you kind of like on spiritual speed dial, if you will. Like I call this Human Design Hotline for the same reason, but that would also play in really nicely with your placements, especially looking at your Saturn conjunct your Venus. So if we're looking at, look at the Time Lord. Oh fuck, I have to, hold on. I have to edit that because I just realized that my Patreon, I didn't get to edit my Patreon post and I don't want to, it probably is going to go out in 2 minutes. For my astrology advent calendar. But when you look at the ruler of your third and fourth house for your profection years, it's called the Time Lord. So like say you have a third house in Capricorn, you're going to look at what your Saturn's doing and pay attention to that. Sorry, hold on. I think that also having a level of like, you kind of already know what you're like refining, and you're going into your incarnation cross transit from 38 to 42. Also looking at what actually constitutes success for you. I think that up until this point, it can mean one thing, but as a projector, that's really like refined your system to a point that you didn't maybe think was possible at a different point in time in your life. Now's an opportunity to progress it forward in some way that makes sense. So, you know, when you're considering that, you know, it's like, where can you put yourself in places and spaces energetically? It doesn't even have to be physical. Places and spaces that you feel like you're actually getting a return on your investment for like actually going out there. It's like really thinking about what the strategy is, the word that I keep wanting to say, really thinking about what the strategy is for the next plan of attack. It's more so like getting to this point now so that like you have your flow in your ecosystem, but in, like you've had the little bit of like rest and there's been an expansion, but what's kind of like the next level on the other side of it that's going to feel a little bit more grounded in that way, so that, you know, you're not self-themed feeling that bitterness and feeling like, ooh, like I need to, where do I feel like I'm not appreciated, or how can I turn that into something where I actually do get appreciated by people that are meant to appreciate me? What does that look like in any way, shape, or form? So I'm excited for you. I know this is going to be, I mean, I'm never worried about you at all, but I think it's just another layer of like, how can you really lean into, especially with your moon, and that is going to be conjunct our Mercury starting tomorrow. How can you lean into that a little bit more? It'd be a good time to kind of like, not schmooze, but like whatever the version of that networking that makes sense for you feels a little bit better. So I will leave you with that for now. Probably some things that, you know, whatever I've said in between that I don't even know what I don't even know. That's what I love like about reading for folks like you, is that like I'll say something and I know that you know what it means, but like I don't even have to know. Those are the best kind of readings for me too. I'm like, whatever I know that I've said, you can take it and digest it and move forward in that way. But I'll send you, I'll be on for about another hour or so, but I'll send you the recordings that you have it. You'll see me looking off to the side because I am looking at you on TikTok as I am dual streaming to YT. So I'll send you that in about an hour or so. But thank you for supporting me and supporting you. Okay, so let me go up, and I saw me game. Thank you so much. Let me bring up my Calendly here. So Megan, okay, so we have a little bit of time just to make sure I'm not talking over anyone. Thank you again, Megan. But let me scroll up because I know I saw a couple of your comments coming through. I don't know left field if you're here, so I'll answer this. I'll pin them and do like a minute at a time because it pins them for a minute. So what's AI's role in astrology? That's such a broad question that like there's 85 different directions that it can go in. I think that people using AI to post online about astrology is a cop-out to get like add more kind of like it's AI to astrology to content is like 3D printed slop that a lot of people keep putting into craft fairs. It's like the AI content equivalent of like what used to make Etsy or Pinterest like fun to scroll on and now has turned it into ads. It's kind of mucking it up in the same way, in my not so humble opinion. Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate you, She-Wolf. I'll talk to you soon. There's ways that we can use tools that are effective, but a lot of people like to use tools because a lot of people don't like to have to critically think about something. And that's also in my teacherly Saturnian way. Like I also want to fight against that because like once we need to, and I say this with us being the guinea pig generation with tech, we need to use these tools hi Kim, as tools that we use, not tools that use us. So, you know, AI's role in astrology in that sense is what I can give you at least in 60 seconds or less, but I would need to hear kind of like a follow-up question to know like what vein do you mean in that way. So let's see. Let me scroll back up again here too. Yeah, especially with Neptune restarting the zodiac. That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think essentially because we're having so much fire in 2026 that it's just kind of like Is it going to burn it all down or ignite it to start like a fire that we can warm our hands around? Amanda said, why do I have gate 5 three times and third house I'd next year for me, Scorpio? What do you say when you know that we could do? I was like, well, how can we refine that? It's so funny because that makes sense as to what I responded to you. What do we do when we say that we could go? There's like that old like content piece. But remembering, so this is where I'll remind you of the meanings of gates. So gates in human design are connected to different astrological placements. And so if we have a gate placement that's represented 3 times, it means that we have 3 astrological celestial bodies like our sun and our moon, or planetary placements that are all between that specific 5-degree window of Sagittarius. So when you have, like I have my little cheat sheet here. Because gate 5, if we're looking at gate 5, we have that between 11 and 17 degrees of Sagittarius. That means that in your chart in your human design body graph, you're going to have Sagittarius between 11 and 7 to 5. I know, I'm tired. Me too. Make it easy for me. We're all tired. Make it easy for me to read. But the 11 to 17 degrees is what's helpful. Yeah, it's worth it. I can send you the link to it too. But it's the Richard Rudd book. But remember, less is more. Shaving it off. But yeah, just remembering that when we have multiple gate placements, it doesn't mean anything like, oh my god, what am I not getting? Like that's what people want you to feel like in that fear. But it just means that you have more than one zodiac placement or planetary placement in that zodiac sign. Has it been a year? Yes, already a year. Yeah, I've been sitting there. Yeah. How often is your perfection year? So your perfection year is not a human design term. Say perfection 50. Oh, for 50 next year. I think you were saying it's the 3rd house, right, Manda? Let me go back. If you had looked in your chart, I don't have these committed to memory. So perfection years or annual perfections come from Hellenistic astrology. When you're looking at a perfection or annual perfection chart, when you're 0 to 1, you're in a 1st house perfection year. When you're actually 1, you're in a 2nd house perfection year, so on and so forth. When you're 50, it's a 3rd house perfection year. So we're finding communication, making it easy. We can get lazy as projectors and Virgo risings when it feels like it's hard for people to communicate with us or people to understand us. It's like, oh, they'll figure it out. But making sure that you're figuring out the ways that you can actually make it, hi Claudia, welcome, make it a little bit more simple for you too, to make sure that you feel, not us, make sure you feel like you are a little bit more grounded in understanding what it means to communicate effectively for what points you're trying to get across, especially as 1-3s. My Mercury's natally retrograde. I understand. I understand. Sometimes even when you guys watch me in my energy of the day, it's like I'll say things kind of funny, but like the point is there. It's like, oh, maybe I missaid the wrong word, but like the meaning actually makes sense. So that also being important for a 3rd house perfection year too. But basically it's just like how we have our birthdays. That's really what we want to be looking at, is what year we're entering 2026 into, and then how is it going to shift once we celebrate our birthday. So if your birthday is in December, January, February, looking at it from that regard and saying like, ooh, what am I kind of closing out in the 1st half of this year, the first part of this year, and how am I going to be ending the rest of the year? So paying attention to that can also be helpful. Someone asked me how I try new things all the time. I'm 1-3, exactly. I know it well, fellow 1-3 sister. Yes. Because it's fun. It's like life is boring if we don't try new things. I can't, I never was a person that could just sit and not learn something new. And, in my not so humble opinion, I think it makes life more interesting for us, for sure. And makes us more interesting. Who else was I? But yeah, so your perfection year is like, you're going like in 12-year cycles because there's 12 houses in astrology. Yeah, I don't know how to utilize Patreon. I mean, for me, it's kind of short, sweet, and to the point. There's an app or a website. You scroll through and you watch the videos. You book your complimentary reading. So I don't know, what else to say other than that, Rory. I'm sorry to say. I think if it's too hard, it's like just kind of hi Orion, paying attention to what state are you in when you are entering into Patreon? How induced are we? Because that can also add to things too. I had somebody that I was trying to send a Zoom link to that couldn't figure that out, and they were on another planet mentally, I'll say, when they were signing in. So that I also have to say with some of my clientele. Let me see. Thank you, kid. Yeah, human design is not a quick fix. Not if you want it. If you want it to work for you. Yes, exactly. Well, they say like it takes an average of 7 years to like decondition to really understand how to use your human design. And as much as we want to outsmart and fast forward the 7 years, it is important. And it doesn't mean that like, there aren't things you're going to be able to, you have to wait 7 years to be doing it perfect, but just taking the time to give yourself practice. It's called the human design experiment for a reason. Like you have to put it to use and practice it and use it as a conscious lens that you use your everyday life to be able to make sure that it works. Same with astrology too. Just because we get no new information doesn't mean that there's anything that, is miraculously going to change. It's like it's why like if I literally came on here and I did a 28-week course teaching people how to be a human design reader by me for free on TikTok, it still wouldn't matter if the person didn't actually want to put it into place. You're either ready or you're not. Same with like, it's why, and I say this all the time, especially for my fellow spiritual entrepreneurs, if you guys ever feel burnt out, you have to look at this like a spiritual gym membership. There's a reason that Planet Fitness also makes so much money for $10. All the equipment's there, everything's there, but it's on that person to want to get themselves to the gym, to want better for themselves for $10, so like that's kind of the exchange that you have to know. And there's a lot of people. It was funny because I was watching Nurse Jackie, which has been my show of the moment, and there was a guy in one of the seasons, and you guys that have watched this, like, oh, Ryan, you're gonna laugh, but there's a guy in one of the seasons that worked as an AA sponsor. I don't know, Planet Fitness worked 24/7. Yes, I know, but there was a guy that was an AA sponsor, and he was like, yeah, I got sick and tired of people coming to me saying that they wanted help and then just like basically relapsing again and again. And so like really being clear about when you want to do anything, you have to love the craft just as much if you're providing a service as you like helping people. So if you don't actually enjoy the craft of what you're doing, then when people don't want to necessarily be helped, which happens often in any kind of modality, you have to not let that be the end all be all and enjoy the practice of whatever it is that you're practicing or whatever it is that you stand for. So I genuinely enjoy studying and talking about human design. I always say that if I had me and my four walls and my little furry cat, hi Brazil, that would suit me, and I could talk about that all day long. And if I ever get bored and I want to become a judge tomorrow and go to law school and whatever else, I believe that I will do that too, right? But for me, it's like it's pouring out from the overflow, which is also just such a core value of human design, is that you have to do things that are interesting for you. A lot of people get into a lot of different practices. Human design is one of many examples. You could be a surgeon. We could apply this in so many different places where people like the attention that it gives other people and don't realize that if they don't, the attention that they want comes from doing something that they genuinely enjoy. So paying attention to that. Yeah, such a Gate 26 lesson, because I can't sell or share anything unless I love it and believe in it 1,000%. It literally is so depleting. When I worked in insurance, I was like, oh my God, like one more day. It was like I was in jail serving a sentence and I had like my spoon and I was like carving like slots on the wall to be able to cross off like the days that I was getting out of insurance. And you know, for having that, as fast as life can change, there are modes where it can also be painfully slow. And we've also been experiencing a lot of transits, experiencing, thank you, ICM, hello, experiencing a lot of transits where things are feeling a little bit slower, although it feels like, okay, I have to be ready. And so it's like the song that just kind of went into my head is like the final countdown, where it's like in the moments that are slow, allow yourself to kind of look around and be like, okay, what can I refine in my environment, in my being, etc., that allows me to function better when things aren't as slow, or when things speed up again, and being able to have that, appreciation for moments that feel a little bit boring in your life. And that those moments of being bored is such a fucking luxury that we can't take it for advantage can't take advantage of, can't take it for granted, combining both things at the same time. Hi Ronaldo, welcome. Yeah, and I think that also, like, complacency is different than boredom too, where with complacency, I do this during Capricorn moons. Yes, I love that. Complacency, is, you have to remember what you're in it for. So, like, for me, when I was in insurance, I knew that I needed to work that job to be able to get money to pay my rent, right? So instead of me being like, I'm just gonna ignore everything and manifest, winning the lottery tomorrow. For most people that are dealing with such a level of trauma in the 3D, whether we like it or not, yes, we can work with the elements, but that takes a very smaller percentage of people that can do that effectively because they've had practice. So complacency is not the same thing as saying, I'm doing this thing right now and I know what I'm in it for every single day. We become complacent when we get lazy. And if you're not doing the things that you need to do after, say, your 9-to-5 job to be able to move the needle forward and what needs to happen to build the bones of your business. I just had this conversation with Jenny, actually, a version of it not too long ago too. But yeah, I love, the Capricorn moons to plan things out around the transits. I love that. Yeah, it's helpful to know, like, where your, whatever your chart ruler is, but like different transits to help you kind of ground in that too. Makes a lot of sense. The one that I was thinking of for routines and rhythms and transits and all of that was, and then Megan will be pivoting over to in 4 minutes to her reading, but is the gate 5 transit, which has also been really helpful. That is the gate of routine. So we have our Venus that's there right now, tomorrow being a Venus day. Hello, thank you for the follow. Looking into how that can be helpful to ground us in understanding, like, what are our true routines. And I think that there's a lot of beauty in focusing on, like, okay, I have my structure. I also know, like, when I have to put the phone down and, like, get something off my to-do list, so on and so forth. I think there's also a lot of people who mistake complacency for, like, allowing themselves to, like, a lot of numbing tendencies as well. So being aware of, like, where you're numbing yourself to is also going to be important. But let me put a pin in that for the moment. So I can pull up Megan's chart here and get us situated. Oh, this is actually perfect for what we were talking about. Yeah, in the Marines, we have this huge sign in Iraq when leaving the base that said complacency kills. That's so interesting. And it's interesting because I think, to play devil's advocate with you, like, what complacency in the sense of the Marines, right, is like, what does that mean contextually, right? Like, how does complacency, or what is the point of them sharing that with you in the Marines? Like, what's the connotation there? Or, like, never letting your guard down? But yeah, complacency is definitely, I think that there are people who need to learn the difference between, like, settling for something that you think that it's like, oh, this is just my life now. I'm going to be stuck at this 9-to-5 job forever. Okay, like, I am being complacent. I don't want to grow anymore. Versus, like, okay, I'm just going to rest here for a little while because I'm doing this in order to build the life that I want to live moving forward. So, I think I know that there's a lot of people that can also get those two confused. Yeah, that's what I figured. I know. That's so cool, though. How long? Thank you for your service, too. Are you active now, or are you retired? My cousin is actually in the army, but she's stationed in Korea right now, so she usually joins and does her chores too. During the lives, I should say. Megan, I'm just getting your chart here, my dear. Hello, hello. I left it for 5 years. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't blame you. I mean, the stories that you could tell 18 years ago, oh, God bless. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's a lot I could say. I have a friend of mine who, and my neighbor actually across the street, he did 90 something jumps, both paratroopers, and the stories that also like we were talking a little bit together about the Reddit thread. He ended up, after he retired, not my neighbor, but my friend, his name's Jeff, working with, I should say, 9line and Black Rifle Coffee. And then I did like a couple gigs with him, but he was also like a tall Irish guy, very interesting person. But just the stories, like spiritual stories too, those can be on another level. But there's like the whole Reddit thread of like military paranormal stories, which is also really interesting. So no, oh my God, no, Miguel, please. No, I feel like I am, hi Anita, nothing is too scary for me. It's not like working for myself, it's working against myself, but it's tough because, yeah, exactly. That's what I would say, like, drinking the green juice, like, doesn't fucking taste good when you're used to having, you know, a bowl of sugary cereal every morning, but we know what's good for us. Like, we're adults, we're big boys and girls that can, you know what we need to do to, like, you know, splash the cold water on your face, snap out of it, and move forward. With that being said, Miguel, so your question specifically, as we pivot over, and I'll send you the recording to this, 51 minutes here's when we're starting. So how can I navigate a toxic work environment while remaining positive? So this is actually really perfect, and I don't know how much of what you heard, and it's similar to what Rory just said about like working for myself but working against myself, is when you are in a toxic environment, you have to remember, and this is what I said full circle, you have to remember what you're in it for. So either way, life has its challenges. Hello. It's just a matter of choosing what challenges or what challenge is more palatable for you, right? Nothing good comes easy. We have all these cliches that are all about that kind of vocabulary for a reason. For me, it being in a work environment, like if I had to go back to corporate tomorrow for whatever reason, and I think about that, I would be more okay, and I think that this can, as a generalization, be a little bit more challenging for the feminine energies or friendly folks who like don't like to make other people feel bad. But surviving in that kind of toxic environment is, if it's already toxic, who gives a fuck if they like you or not? And that's really easy for me to say in 3 seconds on the internet. It's a lot harder to put that into practice when we're like, okay, I already know that these people are toxic as fuck in some capacity, but I also know that if I have to play this game of corporate whatever, you know, or whatever, just being in a toxic work environment, even if it's not corporate, there's a strategy there. There's some sort of fucked up hierarchy, structure, pecking order that is available to me here. And I can see that, and I can say, okay, is this something that I want to participate in? Is it something that I have to participate in order to make sure that, like, yeah, I need to do my job effectively to get my paycheck because the money's important, and then I have to be okay with people not liking me in some capacity. If these aren't people that you wouldn't trade lives with, it's not being okay disappointing them is like the best thing that you can do. And I think especially when we talk about your Leo placements and knowing your Leo, your Saturnian moon and also your Saturnian Mercury is actually going to like that more when you're more stoic and can create a little bit more of that self-preservation of being okay with being inconvenient of the eyes of people who only want to take advantage of your kindness, or your mistaking your introvertedness and sometimes for weakness, and that they can just get you to do anything they want. So, you know, it's harder to do this when we don't go. And the philosophy from a human design perspective is that when we enter into something correctly, we can't leave that situation without it being uncomfortable, or we can't shift within that conversation or that environment rather without it being uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form. So there's always times where it's going to be uncomfortable, right? Like we have to kind of clean up the mess in aisle 6 that we've made and decide, like, okay, you know what, moving forward, it's okay if these people, I go into work tomorrow and these people get a different version of me. Less is more in the work environment. Your coworkers are not your friends, no matter how much they want to say. If I had to go into a corporate environment tomorrow and I had this whole online presence, I'd be like, I don't have social media. Sorry. I'm not adding my coworker on Facebook. I'm not adding them on Instagram. I think that we've lost the art in social media of compartmentalizing the people in our life. And that's what also makes our work environments also more uncomfortable, because there's this weird kind of like undercurrent in society and social media where there's an assumption that we have or are allowed so much more access to people than we actually should have or deserve in any capacity, unless we have a certain level of like trust and closeness with those people. So following that, yeah, exactly. And you should, like, especially going into such a fire dominant year, you know this, right? So you're like, and it's a perfect time. The days that feel exceedingly frustrating, like one day is a drop in the ocean of your life, and it feels like very overwhelming when there's nothing else that you have to kind of knowing that there's an end in sight. A lot of our placements, especially as generators and manifesting generators, we don't like things that have an unlimited end time. We don't like things that have an end date that's 60 years in the future. So a lot of people, and that's why so much of our work structure right now is people get more comfortable with, listening to themselves, whether they know they're listening to their human design or not, because 70% of us are generators and manifesting generators. There is a push towards understanding that, like, we're not really meant to sit in one location forever unless we really enjoy it, or unless we find the novelty of changing up the way that we do something under the umbrella. So I can stay a human design reader, intuitive, spiritual person and live under that umbrella for the rest of my life. But I may decide, you know what, fuck it. I want to go and travel, and I'll study, in all these different places, or do pop-up events in all these different places. And instead of being online more, I'll be in person more. And that's how I can still experience novelty, by sticking with the same thing. Same thing for a corporate structure, right? If you like accounting and numbers, let's just say, and you can see how that metamorphosize or go from one job to another. It's like car insurance. You should never stay. Loyalty doesn't mean anything for those people. Like, I think that they're learning the hard way because that loyalty, and them not allowing loyalty to mean something, where there's parts of it where we're getting back to that. Yeah, exactly. You also have gate 44. So right now, gate 26 is bridging your split there and creating a little bit more of that, like, fuck this, I'm out. And it's defining your ego motivation center. So for the next, like, really from now until next week, like, you are going to be a little bit more self-motivated and have that energy to be able to even, like, rage apply to other places. And there's nothing wrong with you for knowing that, right? You say, okay, I don't like too much structure unless I create the structure. So then you say, okay, where are the places that I can go where that's seen as something to celebrate and I don't have people breathing down my neck, versus as something that is treated like the plague, or people are running from that? Where can you go where it's kind of like a little bit more flexible in terms of you being able to, know that and work that for your advantage? So there's nothing wrong with you for wanting that, and kudos even more so to you for realizing that about yourself and being able to have a little bit more of that grounding. I think that, and when we talk exactly about what we were saying before with 7th house, Sun and Rory, is that the identifying, you're not being complacent. You have something that you're actively doing every single day or 5 days a week where you're working on that goal. It's using weight loss as an example. The people who are successful at losing weight aren't the people who, and doing it sustainably, are not the people who rush to, go get, and there's are even rushing to get a surgery. I can't just go up to a hospital and be like, hey, I want gastric bypass, do the surgery tomorrow. There's still a process there. So the people who are successful in getting what they want out of life are the people who know that full circle, good things take time in some capacity. Our issue with ourselves as impatient people, and especially with this fire energy, is that we try to strong arm it and make it happen faster without allowing ourselves to rest in the fact that, like, before we know it, things can really change in any given moment. So it's like in the grounded moments that you can make changes, it's going to be helpful, to think of that grounding. Yeah, I think I had a dream about work turning into a bit of a weird environment. Oh, wow. I just didn't pay attention. Yeah. making sure that you keep that, you know, in some capacity, that's definitely going to be in the back of your mind. Keeping that in the back of your mind, that's going to be important for sure. But, you know, I feel like we maybe talked about this a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, but I would give yourself time to find something new. Also remembering that it is the holiday season. In January, it's also going to be a little bit slow. Not to say, you know, and using your discernment for like places that hire you tomorrow, you know, like there's going to be a level of dysfunction that comes with people who do hire you quickly, but that could also work in your advantage, because if places are super disorganized, then like they don't even know what they want, you know, or as long as you're doing your job at 50% capacity, people will never tell you that. But as long as you're checking something off their list, like they're happy with that. But there's a lot of like being okay with being okay at your job and not having to be perfect in an environment that you don't really love anyway is okay. It's not important for those people to see you as excelling, you know, or 100% employee in one way, with, you know, when you have other people, places, and things that you'd rather be doing with your time that are going to be a lot more important for you to impress or connect with in a more authentic way for the things that you actually want to be doing. So using this and knowing that you're in the messy middle, it's not comfortable, but it's worth it because it's moving the needle forward and getting you, like, you hit the point of like, I'm sick and tired. I don't want to feel sick and tired anymore. What am I going to do about it? So, you know, keeping your head held high, the core of the message that I'm sharing is allowing people to be uncomfortable, because these are your coworkers, these are not your friends, and you don't have to prove yourself to anybody that is committed to misunderstanding you, or, you know, if it's toxic anyway, it's like, fuck them. Like, you know, okay, like, it's just like entering into places like that is laughable, and it's not your responsibility to change their mind or to make them see you in any different way if they're equally as toxic. So exactly. Yeah, exactly, Rory. Yeah, as I'm growing, I realize that moving away towards perfection, yeah, maybe because I hit the quarter life. Absolutely. I think a quarter life for like, oh my God, like your brain develops. Hi, Prince. We realize that, yes, exactly. We realize that what we actually want, and, you know, again, the brain fully develops at 25, actually arguably at 32, so technically we're in the same boat right now if the new studies are correct. But, you know, you just start to be like, oh, like, I remember at 25 like having the very distinct realization of like, oh, I knew that by logic. I know, right? Sorry, I knew that by logic, but I didn't understand that, how that played out in real life. Like, I could hear the phrase like, good things take time, right? Because I've said that enough. Hi, Claudia. Tonight, good things take time. But I'm like, oh, at 25, you're like, oh, now I actually understand that, like, good things take time. Nothing worth having comes easy. And it's not that the hard of nothing good coming easy is like, oh, I have to jump up, across obstacle courses and walk in a blizzard to get to where I have to go. That could be a variation of it, but it could also be like, oh, I'm exhausted after my 9-to-5 job at this toxic work environment, and the hard is actually having the fucking motivation to get my ass up and even just sit up straight, you know, and start to be like, have 15 minutes of productive scrolling on my phone of where I'm gonna go. And sometime that's also gonna be like, that's what the hard is. But I think that because hard, and saying that in such like a quick passing comment, is like, we forget what hard and challenging can actually be. Hi, Moonflower. So paying attention to that. Yes, Sag Rising, it's nice to see you. Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, so there you go. I was just talking about that. If you follow me on YT Prince as well, and you go to minute marker 50 in my live, you'll see it in about a half hour. I'm gonna hop off, maybe even 15 minutes. I was literally just talking about that. And like, the short of it was like being okay with disappointing and your coworkers, and being okay with like your boss not liking you. Like, you can like each other just enough to make sure that your job gets done, but like, it's okay for your coworkers to not be your friends, you know? And it's Sag Rising, you have Jupiter on your side. You get a little bit luckier with that, and you think that you do. I think I fully grasp this concept, but I can't help but still feel the impact due to less time passed. I don't know what you mean. I fully grasp the concept, but I can't help but still feel the impact due to less time passed. I don't know what you mean. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of like allowing yourself to disappoint people. So yeah, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'm screenshotting that. Hi, Claudia. Welcome, welcome. My two Claudias in the crew. Oh, my God. My two Claudias in the room. Hello, hello. My New Jersey Claudia coming out when I say your name. Hello. Oh, the good things take time. Yeah, sorry. No, you're fine. I was like, I don't know what you mean that, babes. Yeah, especially the later it gets to this like winter, and I think I just zone out, or like not zone out, but I tune out every winter. Like the hard for me is like staying consistent with the routine. Hi, Katie. Come winter, even for myself, like it's still what I'm choosing now, even though there's variations of it that like, because I can put makeup on and shower and roll out of bed and get down here 2 nights a week and do my sessions and stuff, that like it looks easy. Like there's still challenges that come with this. It's just like, you know, my challenges are different, and I also remind myself that I will take this hard, or moments that this feels harder, I have to restructure something, or I have to, you know, spend 6 hours talking about whatever, my marketing strategy, or working and doing something new behind the scenes. Like I will take that every day over like being around people I can't fucking stand against my will. Like I'm too sensitive for it. I learned the hard way. Yeah, I know I'm shooting for my goals. Hi, babe. I know I'm shooting for my goals, but I get close to accomplishing, but then bad things happen. I know. And then I feel I get complacent because I couldn't accomplish and it hurts. Listen, I will tell you this story that I wish someone fucking told me in my 20s. I feel at 32, 31, I'll be 32 in a couple months. I feel at 32 how people told me I was supposed to feel at 18. And it's because I hit a wall in my 20s. Even though I was like building what I have now, I allowed myself to just be a messy fucking human that like needed to explore life. And I was responsible for a lot of things very young in my life that cheated me of being able to explore in my 20s in a way that, or my teens, that like, it was just how life panned out for me, right? And so you're newly into your 20s. Like, it's like you're a 1-year-old teenager, 2-year-old teenager, right? Whatever your number is after the 2 in your 20s is like how old of a teenager you are. So your 20s are like dog years all rolled into one, where for most of us, that were born into your average, family, whatever that means in this day and age. But like, we have a lot of like, for our generationally speaking, astrologically speaking, for our generation, a lot of trial and error in those times in our life that we need to be able to respond to that data and refining. I think that, what is important to highlight and what you shared is that you keep trying anyway, and that you're trying something new and different, and seeing that impasse and saying, I want better for myself, I deserve better, and you're taking a pause. I know. Listen, I always think like I like sometimes I'll have those like freak out shower moments even now, and I'll have, I'll be in the shower and I'll be like, fuck, and I'll be like, and then I'll talk to myself and be like, okay, like the worst thing that can happen, which really isn't that bad, is like, if like, I don't know, like I lost everything tomorrow, I at least trust myself to know where to go for the right resources to get back up on my feet again. And I know where I have to go, even if I don't like 100% of the resources. I think what sets us back a lot is that we're afraid to ask for help. I was saying this to somebody a while ago on my YouTube live that I did, and they were going through a hard time financially. And I said, listen, you don't need to look any different. You can still be put together and walk into a food bank and ask for help if you need it. Food banks are also there, not when you're at $0 in your bank account, but when saving that money for food can help you pay your rent. Or like there's other people, I think oftentimes, especially depending on how you grew up, and a lot of people who, are struggling in ways that even their family members haven't struggled before, and they're kind of are going down, or in their mind, it's like there is such beautiful data and information that comes with being able to know where you can ask for help and using that as a piece of the pie. I only go to, it's like when we were kids and we're like, you go to the doctors for your teeth, and the fireman puts out fires. It's like knowing that there are, I don't expect the dentist or the fireman to also be my therapist or to be the people that are helping me to pay rent or whatever. It's like knowing that when you go to these different places to ask for help, it's like picking up the artifact in a video game that you need to get yourself ahead a little bit more, and to not feel guilty about those resources that are at your disposal. There's nothing, and then if you don't like the feeling, it's enough of a motivating factor, if you use it right, to not make yourself feel guilty about going there, but to say, you know what, I don't fucking like how this feels, and because I don't like how this feels, I'm willing to do what I have to do to not go back here again. I don't like how it feels when my boss talks to me like shit. Thank you, Gabe. So I don't want to come back here again. I know that I have a job that I have to do and I have rent that I have to pay, so I'll go back there, but I know that I hate this feeling so fucking much of the way that that person talks to me, that I am going to do everything that I can out of spite, which is very Aries, to not go back here. And, discomfort is a spectrum for all of us. It's like, what is the level of uncomfortable that you're okay with? And, for a lot of people, there's a lot of discomfort that's coming at all different angles, but it's figuring out how to just start. And I just said this too, and I've been repeating it. Just start with the next one thing. I had this whole hour conversation with somebody that booked me for a session about astrocartography and moving. And on the call, she came on and she was like, and we've been talking in sessions, on and off for an hour for her planning this move for the last 6 months. And when she was talking about moving to this country, her income was going to be taxed by 40%. And so even in being told that, her initial reaction was saying, okay, my income is going to be taxed by 40%. In her mind, that initial hit, which is like, okay, that's data, because her nervous system is dysregulated and she's reacting, is like, oh, my income's going to be taxed 40%. That means that I can't do it. And I've learned this the hard way because I've also been a catastrophizer, and I knew what that was like, until I got my shit straight, was that you have to look at, okay, it's me now knowing my income is going to be taxed 40% leads me to understand this. I'm also going to be abroad. So if I'm abroad and I'm moving to a different country and I'm in a house, which this client is, wait a second, the house is another income opportunity. So then the next logical question is to say, oh shit, I forgot that I'm going to be selling the house, so I have the money from the sale, or I'll be a landlord abroad, right? And then there was more to that conversation, but there's a way that we have to start to look at, you're allowed to have your emotional response 1000%. I'm a Scorpio moon, I'm a Pisces fucking sun. God knows I have a good emotional response, but we have to pivot that to saying, like, I know that, in your situation, Rory or Megain, or, for those of you that are in, hi Octavia, welcome. Those of you who are in jobs that you don't like, which is very normal for a lot of people. It's like understanding what's the next one thing that I can do that's going to help me to get out of my position. So whatever feels like the biggest hurdle or the thing that we don't want to focus on, sometimes it's opening our bank account and saying, like, I have to be real with like what I have here. Even for me, in between jobs, I was picking up Instacart orders. I've done Instacart before throughout my 20s. I was like maybe DoorDash, but then Instacart worked out. I had a car at least that I could use, and not being afraid to get scrappy. Because it's so funny that, like, I think a lot of people get so embarrassed, and I know I felt like this too at certain times in my life when I was like struggling. Like, we feel so embarrassed to like admit in real time that we're doing those things, but the best stories that we hear from people that we admire or look up to in any way, shape, or form, or enjoy, their success, it makes it even more human, and we love it even more as consumers of those stories when there's like real humanity that's in there. So remembering that like, if you know in your heart of hearts that you're destined for great things, that doesn't come without like realizing, like being honest with where we're at. I had a friend one time that was like really in a bad spot, and was living at home with their parents and was paying, because of like all of these like legal fees and insurance, was like, had this amazing BMW, but was paying like with plus insurance and the situation to get the BMW was like $3,400. And I was like, who cares what the fuck you're driving if every other part of your life is shit? Like, truly, who cares? I know that you want the car in that way, but the car does not feel as good driving it around when people know that past that car, there's nothing there. It's like a tapestry. It looks really great from the front, and then behind the tapestry, all the interwoven threads are all fucked up and like messed up behind the scenes. So doing it because, oh, there you go. I love that. There's Jenny. I didn't see that it changed to that. But my point being is, doing the thing that is uncomfortable. It's like when you get, $10. It feels better when, like, yeah, you may have found $10 in the parking lot, or you may have earned the $10 doing what you love, or, stealing the $10. It's like, what long-term feels like the best case scenario for you for what you're comfortable with. Now, there are people in this world that will be more than happy to steal $10 and can go to sleep at night. I am not one of those people. So, more power to those people if that's the way that they want to live through the world. But I, value integrity as one of my top values, and working for what you want out of life and putting the effort in to alchemize it and making it easier for you in the future. But there's a lot of people, especially with the friend of mine that had the BMW, that can't admit realistically where they're at. What's also very different for our generation as millennials, as Gen Zs, and just now in general, is that our parents' generation or the generation before, we didn't see them working their way up to get the things that they have, when they're in their 50s and their kids are a little bit older. Like, there are a lot of people, even with the house that I'm in now with my husband, like, we live in a more rural area. We live 2 hours away from everyone that we know and love. We know and love people here now too, but for the sake of this story, but like 2 hours away from our family, people are like, oh my God, why would you do that? And because we made the move that was better for the start of our family. And so, this house is beautiful and I love it and I'm grateful for it. But it's like, yeah, there's of course, like, if I want another house one day, we can upgrade to that. But people are afraid to do what they're supposed to do using what they have because of truly impressing other people, or based on how other people perceive what they have, right? So it's like there's a lot of that, especially in 2026 in the age of Aquarius, that is removing the smoke and mirrors and being okay with working for something. And like, yeah, you don't have to share all of those parts about your life online, or, like, you just share what you're comfortable sharing, work on what you're comfortable working on, and know that, like, I think that what a lot of people are missing right now is getting really clear on understanding, like, what their foundation is or what they're working with. Like, really taking a step back and saying, like, what am I truly working with right now? What do I have in front of me? Because it's not nothing. For all of us that are here right now, we have a smartphone where you're able to watch me and we're able to communicate in this time and space together. That's already something. That's already a step ahead than a lot of people in other places of the world. So having that, even though environmentally, comparatively, you may feel behind, or you may feel stuck in different places and spaces, there's an opportunity to say, okay, at least have this. What can I do with this? Right? I started my business where all of the things, the only thing that I was paying for was my phone. This application is free. YT is free. I have an online business. It makes my job really easy, right? I don't have to pay somebody some crazy ad dollars. I knew that, hi, Chris. I had something that I enjoyed talking about. I enjoyed teaching people about. I know that it helped me, and I know that I wanted to help other people. So I got scrappy and I used what I had. I wasn't concerned about, not until like a year and a half ago. I've been doing this, reading charts for 10 years. I didn't even have my own chart generator. So I could look at other people who have chart generators and say, oh, that's what constitutes success. Like, I don't have my own chart generator. No one in human design is ever going to take me seriously. There weren't even people, I can count on one hand, missing 3 fingers, how many times somebody has even asked me if I'm certified in human design. Because when you're confident and you know what you're talking about, it's just in your frequency. And using what you have and being confident in that, and not feeling like you owe an explanation about your life to anybody, other than making sure that you can lay your head at night on your pillow, lay your head down at night on your pillow, and feel proud of yourself for what you've done, or at least trying to make yourself better. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself. So that's my story. That's my story and my soapbox for this evening. But, you know, it feels like an important one. I think especially around the holidays, like a lot of people start to feel sensitive to what they have and what they don't have. And, you know, and Katie, thank you. And just being grateful in any capacity. And, you know, even rock bottom is still the floor. You know, you're still leaning against it and saying like, fuck, like I'm looking up at everything else that's in front of me, but how do I just find a way to sit up? And then I've sat up and I say, okay, how do I stand? And I'm like, okay, how do I walk now? And how do I put one foot in front of the other? And that is a much more admirable and important place to be. And the confidence, and speaking from experience, that like that gives you for knowing that like if anything goes to shit, you really have your own back at the end of the day. The only person that you really need is you, and then everyone else is an additional luxury, you know, in those moments where we're really down bad. But, you know, it gives you even more of an appreciation for the people that you have in your life, because you know what it's like to not have anybody in a lot of ways. But I think that especially, at least in your case, Rory, being a dad, it helps to be able to have that, you know, that is your why, even if your why isn't for yourself. Or, you know, certainly I've had my conversations with the fair share of single parents that are like, get worked up in the lather of my kid doesn't deserve this, blah, blah, blah. Your kid just cares that you listen to them and advocate for them and do the best that you have with what you have at any time. You know, I have a good relationship with my dad because of that. So if that adds any more consolation in some regard. But yeah, so I hope that helped you guys in some capacity. I think that it did. I know that it helped me, and it was a pep talk that I wish that I also had earlier on in my life in a lot of ways. So, you know, just finding a way to put one foot in front of the other. There are days now, you know, that even because when you have that struggle or you go through that, those feelings don't really go away. They just shrink. Yeah, I understand. It's a very similar, if maybe even identical situation, Rory, with my brother and my niece. So I know it well on the other side. And the best thing, like I always think if I was in that situation, is to start keeping a stack of letters and writing down what the things that you wish that you could say or teach your child, so that one day, you know, when they get old enough and they can start to make their own decisions, like you have that way that's tangible that you can show them that you are always thinking of them no matter what. And I think that I was having this conversation also with another mom of mine that's in Patreon as well, and how she was like, my daughter is a Capricorn moon, like I'm afraid, like am I gonna fuck her up, blah blah blah. And it's like the biggest thing that we, you know, for our generations as parents have in our favor is being able to have the conversation. Oh, I love that. Yes. So just affirmation of that. Hi, Gary. Is just the surrendering and being like, I was human, I fucked up, or this was a fucked up situation. And as long as I'm able to move forward and know that this comes from, hola, Alex, gracias, from a place of repair, you know, and having that ability to have repair, like there's an opportunity for relationship in that way. And just being really un poco, just having that opportunity to have the uncomfortable conversation is a blessing in and of itself when the time comes, you know, and what that looks like. It'll shift and change, you know, as we get older. But yeah, so aprendista. Yo no sé aprendista. Mi esposo es cubano, and yo practico con un maestra en un website called Preply. So, and Duolingo, pero Duolingo isn't the best. But yeah, so I love that, Rory, that you've been doing that too, because that's just a helpful way to kind of like ground. It's the uncomfortable in between, and I think that a lot of what is very dysregulating for our, and when I say like our generation in this way, I just mean like the people alive on Earth right now. Gracias. The people that are alive on Earth right now, is that we're really learning how to remember that like our Earth body and our brains have to understand that like the things that we want don't come as quickly as Amazon Prime does, or when we Google something, you know, we get an answer in less than a second. We get multiple answers in less than a second, and we're trying to find a way to like remember that like repairing of a relationship or things taking time. It's like we're uncomfortable with waiting because there's a lot of conveniences that have been created for us that are great in some ways, but that also have, like, we're learning the side effects of technology and AI. Full circle to the question earlier, we're learning the side effects of those things in real time, and understanding like that the discomfort and the reality of evolving so quickly and what that does to the human brain. So, maybe I'll be a scientist or whatever in my next life to do those kinds of studies, but we shall see. But I think about that often, especially in times where I'm like, I get myself worked into a panic because I have gate 28 in human design, so it'll do that. But what I know is that feeling doesn't go away, but I'm like, oh, I know what this is, I identify it, I know where this is coming from, and we can talk ourselves down too. So that's also really important, because it's the more that you talk yourself down and you figure out how to do that, the more you can think critically about what is the next thing that needs to happen, even if that next thing takes a year to be able to progress or to manifest the results that you needed to manifest. So that's my story again at this point. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I'm going to get the link to, I'm going to say